Every other animal can stumble and get back up again, but an elephant always stands up, even to sleep. If one of the herd slips and falls, it's helpless. It lies on its side, a prisoner of its own weight. Although the other elephants will press close around it in distress and try to lift it up again, there isn't usually much they can do. With slow, heaving breaths, the fallen elephant dies. The other What delight nature must feel when she makes stars out of swirling gas and empty space. She flings them like spangles across a velvet cape, a billion reasons for us to awaken in pure joy. When we open our hearts and appreciate all she has given us, nature finds her reward. The sound of applause rolls across the universe and she bows. last